I wanted to start by talking about the two best things that wowed us at Vomo. First was the snorkeling. Not that we've snorkeled a lot, but we've been to some popular destinations such as Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, Hawaii, Phi Islands, and Thailand. This was by far the best snorkeling experience we've ever had. So snorkeling is included in your cost of your stay at Vomo. They provide the snorkel, mask, fins, all of which were in pretty good condition. They also provide life jackets if you need it, and unless you're a really good swimmer, I would recommend snorkeling with a life jacket, especially since you have fins. That way you can just float, focus on breathing, enjoying the view, and the fins will allow you to move around even with the drag of the life jacket. So once a day at Vomo, they provide a snorkeling excursion where the boat will take you out from shore about 10 to 15 minutes. Then you can snorkel where the coral is massive, most alive and diverse I've ever seen. It seemed more alive and diverse than places I've gone scuba diving. It was really a pristine coral reef. As comparison, the only reef that comes close to it was the sandbar in Oahu. But taking a boat out and snorkeling in the ocean open is somewhat difficult. The currents are stronger, the water is a lot choppier, so people who get sick, like myself, or people who aren't very good swimmers may find it difficult to enjoy it out there for a long period of time. For myself, I found it much more enjoyable and relaxing to snorkel from shore with a life jacket. Water is much calmer, and there's virtually no current you have to deal with. But unfortunately, as you can see from the video, the coral isn't pristine. There's a lot of dead coral. Fiji has the third largest coral reef in the world, and it's known for being black. So the black coral you see is not dead, but all the white coral at the bottom of the ocean, that's all dead coral, and you see a lot of that damaged coral. I asked one of the workers there if the coral was dead from people stepping on it, and he said that the coral was mainly dead from waters being too warm, from global warming. Dead coral nearest to the shore has grass growing on it. So when you look into the water, you see patches of grass, and when you step on it, it feels like rock. So if you didn't know any better and you were wearing water shoes, you could start walking out from the shore and you'd be thinking you were walking on grassy rocks, and at some point you wouldn't know it and you would move from dead coral to live coral. It's strange that there's no sign or there's no person or anyone warning you that you're going to be walking on live coral at some point. So if you go out there, just be careful because you're going to be killing the coral by walking on it. The second thing that really surprised us was the kids club. My kids are 10 and 13. They typically do not enjoy kids club. As the one we go to at other places, they're generally like babysitting. You go in there, you find what to do. They're not that interactive unless you play with them. But here at Vomo, they are much more concerned that your kids are stimulated, fed, and taken care of, and make sure they're having a good time. Cisco was assigned to our kids. Every group gets assigned from the members at Vomo. And even though there are certain times set out for certain activities, if your kids are not interested in those activities, they will find something to keep your kids entertained. For instance, Cisco took our kids to the pool and they played Marco Polo and other fun games, but the activities available to them is many, including different types of things like palm leaf weaving, tapa printing, fish house building, coral planting, and more common things like beach and pool games and stand-up paddleboarding and kayaking. My daughter, who likes crafty stuff, liked that they were able to design shirts and make t-shirts and that they were able to keep them as souvenirs. Vomo has a Fiji night and they included our kids in the show. They taught the kids dance moves, and they performed it during Fiji night. But what really impressed us was how well they cared for our kids. They cared for them like they were family. They made sure the kids were fed, made sure everyone was having a good time. They even made sure all the kids applied and reapplied sunblocks throughout the day. At the kids club, the kids have access to the full menu that all the restaurants have. My wife's nephew even had 2 servings of beef tenderloin at the kids club. Now we started our trip from LAX and we flew Fiji Airways. Once we arrived at Fiji, we were picked up by van and transported to the Buddha Point Marina. That van ride takes about 20 minutes, and from there you take a 30 to 40 minute speedboat ride to the island. We booked our Vomo stay through Costco. The Costco package includes the transfer. If you have to pay for transportation to Vomo, it can be costly, around $2,000 for a family of 4, from the airport to the island. Once you arrive at the island, you switch boats, and then they drop you off at the beach. So if you aren't wearing water shoes, they can get wet. Then you need to take your shoes off to get off the boat. You get dropped off at Ocean Play and Dive Area, which is the activities area for the resort. From there, you take the Bula bus to the reception. Once you get there, you'll be greeted by staff who are singing, and they give you a necklace and a refreshment.
Thank you.
We stayed at Villa 5, but when we arrived at 8 a.m., only one of the 3 rooms was ready. For the other 2 rooms that were not ready, the guests were given a vacant temporary room for them to stay. It allowed them to relax and freshen up before the rooms were ready. We found that to be a really nice touch, and it really impressed us. So, you could start your vacation right away without having to worry about, waiting for a room. Even on the day that we're departing, after checkout, 2 families did not have their flight until 10 p.m. They were also given a room so they can stay and still enjoy the facilities. And so they stayed in those rooms till 6 p.m. We found that very accommodating, and it allowed you to squeeze the most out of your vacation until the very end. The rooms are very nicely appointed, and ours slept 4 people. The room had a welcome fruit basket and wine. The beds and the pillows were very comfortable. The room had a bunch of soft drinks, tea, coffee, and snacks. They weren't refilled daily, but often enough that you didn't run out. What I really liked was the laundry service, which was included. They will wash, dry, and fold up to 20 items per day. They also provided bug spray to kill any bugs. And if you forgot your own bug spray, they provided bug repellent as well. Also, what I really liked about the rooms is they provided really nice umbrellas for you. We went in March, which is towards the end of the wet season, and we definitely needed umbrellas. The other thing that we really liked was outside the villas, they had 2 areas where you can wash your feet. One of the areas had a shower hose, so you could even wash your body off. It was really nice, because it kept your room nice and clean. You could rinse off the dirt and rinse off the sand before you went into your room. Vomo is a private island with only 36 villas, 2 pools, and 2 restaurants. The main restaurant is the Voodoo Reef Restaurant, which is surrounded by the pool, the reef bar, and the reception. The Rocks is an adults-only restaurant with its own bar, which is adjacent to the adults-only pool. The resort itself takes up about 1/3 of the island. There are plenty of empty beaches, hammocks, daybeds, poolside chairs, and beach and pool towels. Everything was plentiful and easy to access. We never had to wait to get seated at a restaurant, even for a party of 12. They did, however, split us up on several occasions. They probably would have made arrangements for us to sit together if we wanted to. The Reef serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the Rocks, the adults-only restaurant, serves just lunch and dinner. They call it an adults-only restaurant, but when we were there, they told us that it was 13 years and older. Of our 6 days that we were there, they had different items on the menu every day. The food was presented beautifully and tastes pretty good. I would say it's comparable to the Grand Moon Palace in Cancun, which is a popular resort that a lot of people go to. So if you've been there, you can compare it to that. Also, I would say it's about as good as, the higher end Royal Caribbean food services. So there were some misses though, but overall we were very happy with the food. A lot of seafood, but they do have chicken and pork and lamb. And on one night they had beef tenderloin, which was very, very good. We actually paid for the fishing trip. We wanted our kids to have a good time, and they really like fishing. We wanted them to catch some fish. They recommended line fishing for our kids. Inline fishing, you don't really have a rod and a reel. They provide you with a fishing line. They provide you with bait, and the kids just let the line out by hand and then reel it back in. We were able to catch 2 fish, but they were too small to keep. And if you do catch fish, they will bring it back, clean it, and cook it for you. One of the most enjoyable things that we like to do was hike Mount Vomo. On the website, it says it's about a 15-minute walk to the top, but it is a quite strenuous 15-minute hike, especially after the rain. Being towards the end of the rainy season, it was really muddy. So we recommend not wearing running shoes. If you wear the running shoes, they will get quite dirty. We actually wore flip-flops, but it made it quite hard to hike that area. Your feet can start slipping, but you can definitely hike the area with Crocs. If you do wear the flip-flops, you can wash off your flip-flops and just walk barefoot. I'm not sure if there would be grass during the dry season, so walking barefoot may not be possible year-round. Some of the areas were pretty steep at the top, but my mother-in-law, who's in her 60s, was able to make it up to the top. Once you get to the top, there's a beautiful ridge, and at the end of the ridge is a yoga platform. So you could do yoga up there if you wanted. The views from the top are spectacular. You feel like you're the only one on the island. There are several circular paths to the top, one of which being much more steep but shorter. The longer path allows you to go to other parts of the island, see undeveloped areas of the island and undeveloped beach. Up and down, taking the circular path and enjoying the views, it took about an hour to an hour and a half for the hike. If you like hiking, this is a short one but good one. One of the nights they had Fiji night. They gave adults the sulas, the traditional Fijian garment that is like a kilt or a skirt that you wear for the festivities. And they allow you to keep it as a souvenir afterwards if you want. They start with cocktails before the event, and guests get to mingle and get together and talk and get to know one another. They provide a nice 5 to 10 minute massage, so you get to feel what the spa provides. It was nice to get together and talk with other guests, even though I've never even seen them at the resort. It was the only night that dinner was served buffet style, and they had some traditional Fijian dishes that night. After the dinner, they put on a show with dancing and chanting. Again, that's where our kids were included in the show. And it's really nice to have introduced us to some traditional Fijian culture. And again, I thought it was really cool that they had our kids take part of the show. Overall, we had a great time at Vomo. I would recommend it to both families and couples. The island and the resort is big enough to be isolated if you want, but small enough that you can always be in a group if you went to places where people congregated. The kids club is a tremendous asset for parents who want alone time. And the adult pool in the restaurant was quiet and isolated enough that couples could really have romantic days or evenings. I would not recommend it for with people who like crowds or high energy environments, or people who need TVs in their rooms. This is definitely a place where you want to go and de-stress and unplug and really just relax and spend good quality time with people you love.